and shout. Throw your head back and shout. Come on now, the Bills are making it happen now. Stand up now, come on and shout. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All righty, Bills Mafia. Welcome to another edition of Bills Beat Podcast, brought to you by on the Stadium Rant Network. How are we doing today, Bills Mafia? How's it going, Casey?
Good, man. How are you? Another great victory on Sunday.
Hey, it is a victory week. This is the third one. 3-1 is a great win. Were you ready to turn it off at any point?
So I was texting my brother-in-law, and I can't believe I'm going to admit this, but I told him it was when the Bills went 3-and-out after Devin Singletary's fumble, I think. And like as soon as the play was over, like Josh is usually there behind the play no matter what happens, and he was walking back to the sideline, and I was like, it looks like he doesn't care. And then I instantly regretted it, obviously, because it's Josh Allen.
Yeah.
But it was just I'd never seen that body language from him before. But the whole time, it didn't feel like the Ravens were in complete control of the game. It didn't feel like they had the death grip on it that was necessary.
Yeah.
And kind of like the Bucs game last year. That's all I kept thinking back to was the Bucs game and how we just couldn't do a thing right in the first half. But we came out in that second half steamrolling. And that's what I expected. That's what happened. Only we got the W this time.
You bring up that Bucs game. So I was actually down in Texas visiting with my mom. Well, let me rephrase that. We were on our way to Texas. So we went down to Texas, drove up to Oklahoma for my daughter's, her and her husband's 5-year vow renewal. On the way back, we were listening to that Bills Bucs game on the radio on XM. And, oh man, I had to hold it together that first half because my mom's never seen me like in person when the Bills are not doing well. So that's a side of me she doesn't need to see.
Yeah, Mom, I'm sorry for what I'm about to say.
Yeah. But so we got to the house and it was in overtime by the time we got there. And I got in the house and turned it on just in time to see the last play. I was like, oh, such a letdown.
Your little heart. I feel so bad.
Yeah. So with this game against the Ravens, I was on the Let's Talk Sports AFC show on Saturday afternoon, and he'd asked me how comfortable, or not comfortable, but how confident I was in the Bills going into that game. And I straight up said, this is probably the least confident I've been all season. Like weeks 1 and 2, I was like, we're going to blow them out. That's not even going to be close. We're going to embarrass them on national TV. The Miami game, I was a little concerned because of the injuries. But this one, I was like, okay, we got injuries. The weather is going to be a monsoon, they're saying, which actually that didn't turn out really to be all that bad. And then as the game started, yeah, it was frustrating. And I'm kind of going to go on to a little bit of a rant here because I'm not going to call out any names on Twitter, but if you're listening, know who you are. Oh my gosh, so negative. Like, oh, there goes the number 1 seed. You can forget about the Super Bowl. This isn't a Super Bowl team. And just on and on and on and on. And I'm like, it's 1 quarter. This team has been dominant for 3 games. And yeah, I say dominant against even the Dolphins because they were. They were running up and down the field on the Dolphins. The defense was playing well in that game. They just didn't take advantage of the opportunities. So it was blowing my mind that and this is, Bills Mafia, this goes to Steelers fans, this goes to any fan base out there. There's a pocket of people that are just like that. Like one thing goes wrong and the world's coming to an end. And I'm like, you just got to relax. I watched the Bills come from 35-3 behind with the Oilers, came back and won that game. I watched the Music City Miracle, the Leotis McKelvin fumble, and that gave the Patriots that Monday night win. The 13 seconds, I mean, you just never know. And when you still got 3 quarters of football still to go, it's plenty of time. So I was just like, Bills Mafia, guys, bring it down a notch. Calm down. Things aren't going well. It'll be fine. Plus, it was week 4. Like, we still got 13 weeks to go. This team is going to be in the playoffs. That's when we really need to, save up that energy for the playoffs because that's when it's going to really matter. We can lose a couple games here and there. We got to get healthy. hit our stride at just the right time. We don't want to do that now. It almost felt like we did. Like we hit this high after 2 weeks and it was like, oh my goodness, this team's going undefeated. They are so, oh man, what, Hyde's out for the season? Poyer's not playing? Boy, Dane Jackson just got bent in half. I mean, things can change on a whim. So the only thing I want to say, Bills Mafia, calm down. Enjoy this ride, though. Don't be afraid of success, but calm down.
So my only side note to that would be we're still not used to doing this good. Honest to God, that has something to do with it. We're still not used to having the MVP favorite at quarterback for this team. I mean, the drought killed souls. I mean, it absolutely destroyed people. So when people instantly went back to, well, same old Buffalo. Here we go. That was fun. Same old Buffalo.
Yeah. And
So
I was guilty of that in the drought, too. I will admit that, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody was, because that's all we knew, and that's all we knew what was coming.
Yeah.
But like you said, we got to relax. Pulling Aaron Rodgers, relax.
RESPECT.
Yeah.
Oh, we have a comment in here from Dawson. I'm going to hold on to it until we get to that piece. Yeah, I can't believe. Anyways, we'll save that. I'll show you what he said.
All right. Can't wait.
Yeah. So watching the Ravens game, here's what I saw, and this is what gave me hope. Yes, the first quarter was terrible. We gifted them the first touchdown. Okay. Yeah. With that turnover. We went down on the second drive. We got 3. They got the ball. That one drive where they went an actual normal drive and got the touchdown, I was like, okay, they are running right through our guys right now. But then on the next drive, when we're down 14-3, the Ravens had the ball. We got our first sack. Von Miller sacked him, forced the field goal. The next drive, same thing. Rousseau, he got half the sack, and I believe Daquan Jones was the other one. They both got a sack.
Rousseau deserves that full sack, by the way.
I agree. I thought so too. But and forced the field goal. You started to see our front four get after him. You started to see them winning their one-on-one battles. And that, to me, gave me hope. It's like, okay, they're starting to figure it out. They're starting to win those battles. And now they're showing up now. And then we drove down the field and got the touchdown like, oh, we're only down 10 after that miserable first quarter and a half. We're okay. We can do this. We get a stop in the first to open up the drive, and we're right back in this because I just felt good about how the half ended, I guess, that they were starting to look like themselves. And they commented on this during the game, so I'm sure most people heard it, but Josh Allen commented they didn't feel right until about Friday. So I do think there was still some carryover from that Miami game early in this game too. It took them a minute to get their feet under them. But once they did, it was the same old Bills against the Ravens.
I mean, I feel like Buffalo is also that team that they let it come to them. They're gonna settle in. They're gonna let you. All right, show us what you want to do. Show me what you got. And they're very. I mean, we've seen it. They've given up 7 points in the second half of all the games combined this year. That's gross. I mean that is absolutely insane. So that shows the in-game adjustments that McDermott and Frazier are able to make, and just maneuver guys around and shift Rousseau and Von Miller around the line and this guy's coverage. But so they're letting these teams that have high-powered offenses, they're gonna score points. They're high-powered offenses with great quarterbacks, but eventually McDermott's gonna be like, all right, that's enough. Like, time to take the training wheels off and let the boys eat.
Yeah, I agree. I had a thought and then gone. So I'll move on to the next thought. Zach Moss. Bro, I'm sorry. I'm done with the Zach Moss experiment, and I'm tired of seeing Bills Mafia fans bagging on Devin Singletary unnecessarily. The guy's career average is almost 5 yards a carry. I don't know the numbers. I believe he had 10 receptions last week against the Dolphins.
Something.
He added another 4 against the Ravens, he's more than proven, I think, that he can play every single down. He's not a burner. But if the guy can pick you up 4, 5, 6 yards every time he touches the ball,
Who
that
needs
to
a burn?
me is an RB1.
Yeah,
Like,
agreed. He had almost
yeah,
100 yards from scrimmage between
exactly.
rushing and receiving last week
Yeah. So
on
I was
less
just
than 15 touches.
right. I would like to see the team give him the ball. And I'm sorry, Zach Moss. I'm sure you're a great guy, but it's time to sit the bench. I don't know. And I would like to see a little bit more of Cook, even though I know when he's had the opportunities, it's like you're almost like on the edge of your seat, like, oh God, is he going to fumble? And he only fumbled once, but he's just not making the most of his opportunities he's getting. And I think that's probably why he's not getting more opportunities. But at the same time, I feel like you need to give him a chance. You've got to put him in there and show that I trust you to make this play. And I'm going to continue to trust you to make this play. Give him a chance. I mean, he is a rookie and he's probably freaking out.
Oh,
out there.
absolutely. Joe Marino on the Locked On podcast. I was listening to it today, and he was talking about the running back room and how. What about Duke Johnson like getting
Yep.
called up? You know, making one of these two guys inactive. Maybe Joe said it. Maybe he's the second best back on this team. You know, I mean, he had some nice games with Miami last year. He can obviously catch the ball. That's his specialty. He ran it well between the tackles for Miami last year. He's had production in the past with Cleveland on the ground. Maybe McDermott proves a point one of these games and says, Moss or Cook, you're done for the game. You know, like basically go in timeout. Think about what you did. Bring Duke Johnson up and see what he can do. Maybe it's a spark that we need. But I agree with
Yeah.
you on Singletary. I've always been a proponent of Singletary. I've never thought he's more than what he is. I've never thought he's less than what he is. He's a guy that's going to get you 5 yards. Is he the world's best pass catcher? No, but he can get the job done enough. He'll drop 1 out of 5. But that's not. I'll take that out of my starting running
Yeah.
back. You know,
Yeah.
they're not wide receivers and slot guys for a reason.
Yeah. And you brought up Marino. I was listening to Joe Miller, and he talked about this that their running backs, they fumble the ball.
Yeah.
It's normal. So for everybody that jumped all over Singletary when he had that fumble, it's raining. That kind of stuff it's going to happen sometimes. Now, if he fumbled it 2 times every game, okay, that's an issue. But he's not a fumbler. Does he have some? Yeah. But I wouldn't say he's one of these guys that has like 150 carries without a fumble. But I would like to see him get 15 to 20 touches, carrying and receiving. This isn't a running team, and I'm totally fine with that. I just want to see when they do run it. I don't want to see Zach Moss running into the backside of his offensive lineman and then falling down. He's not a power back, so
No
I don't
kidding.
I don't know where that came from, honestly.
I said on the podcast last week, he's a fullback. He is just a fullback. If we could integrate him to like a Kyle Juszczyk type, that would be amazing. He'd be perfect for it. He doesn't have the speed. He doesn't have the vision. He doesn't have the strength. And I was the biggest Zach Moss fan coming out of college. I loved him.
I did too.
I thought he was the perfect 1-2 punch with Singletary. I mean, I watched him at Utah. He runs hard. He hit low pad level. I just thought he was going to be it. And then he got to the NFL and he was like, what's a football?
Yeah. It's frustrating watching him. I know he had that big run last week against the Dolphins, 40-something yards. But, if you watch the play, I think you said this, you or I could have gotten 30, on that run.
Got it. And I was a lineman.
And the thing is, too, I heard this earlier last week, but after the Dolphins game, if that would have been Cook in the game, that was a touchdown. They don't catch him.
Singletary, that is a touchdown.
Yeah. So
he runs a 4.6. Once Moss run a 4.8.
It looks like maybe a 5.8. I don't know.
But
I'm
Cook's
sorry.
a 4.4. He's gone, and that's exactly why they drafted him, was for that exact play. But he's in the doghouse. Cook just has the yips. That's one of those things. We've seen receivers get it. Deontay Johnson last year, he was 2 years ago. He was one of the best pass catchers in the NFL. And last year, it was like he forgot how to catch a football. So players go through these droughts. I mean,
Yeah.
it's obviously it's all mental, but it's just one of those things. Like we've said before, it's like when you can't hit the backboard when you're trying to shoot hoops. I mean, you can't even hit it. There's nothing what you do. You shoot a layup and you hit the bottom of the rim.
That's me on a good day. I'm not a basketball player. All right, so we want to kind of get into around the NFL as well here, but before we do, just got to remind everybody, one of our sponsors, Trophy Smack. Like I said last week, if you guys are in fantasy football or any fantasy sport for that matter, Trophy Smack are your guys. They'll provide you with championship belts, rings, trophies, you name it, they've got it. Just head over there to trophysmack.com. They've got some outstanding hardware there and get yourself some nice trophies for your league. So Casey, around the NFL, I'm just going to kind of throw this up there. We're going to talk about a couple of the other teams. But holy crap, the Philadelphia Eagles are undefeated and the only team left that are undefeated.
Yeah, the best man at my wedding was an Eagles fan, so I really don't enjoy this. Especially because I was a big proponent of Jalen Hurts. I always thought he was better than anybody gave him credit for. When the Eagles drafted him in the second round, I texted him and I was like, "You got to steal." I was like, "I think he could be good." Loved him in Alabama. I thought he got an unfair shake when they put Tua in over him, and he was he won the Heisman, he won a championship.
Yeah,
and you're going to replace him with a sophomore. I just didn't understand that. And everybody's like, he can't throw a football. He all he can do is run. And then everybody said the same thing about Josh Allen. And here we are 5 years later. I mean, Jalen Hurts, every player needs time to grow in the NFL and just learn. It's a different game. It takes players different time, like different lengths of time for the game to slow down for them.
And this is year 3 for him.
Really see it. Yeah, and his first year, it was really like, 4 games?
Yeah.
And because he came in because whoever the quarterback was got hurt. Was it Foles or even Wentz?
I think it was Wentz still.
Was it? Yeah. So, you're right.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
So I mean, you got 4 games, and so yeah, of course he's gonna make one read and pull it. He thinks he's gonna get killed back there if he hangs out for too long. So, but I think he's made jumps. I think the Jets would kill for Zach Wilson to have made the jumps that Jalen Hurts has made.
And I mean, let's be honest, he still could. This is year 2 for him. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, but we'll get to the AFC roundup here shortly. But Wilson did not look all that great either.
But he scored a receiving touchdown.
Yeah. But as far as like the NFC as a whole, outside of Philadelphia, nobody's been impressive.
I was gonna say, who scares you?
Like nobody. The Cowboys are inexplicably 3-1. The Giants are 3-1. The Vikings, Packers are all.
The Vikings scare me. The Vikings, if they could get it together, if they could just get it together, they could be so damn good. But yeah,
and here we go.
Yeah.
We got a Vikings fan in the house. So, you said it exactly. If they can get it together, I'm not confident that they can. Like,
it's
one day they are, like, within the same game, they lost one play, then the next play they're hitting a 50-yard bomb to Justin Jefferson. It's like there's like no consistency there, and I think they're going to make the playoffs. I don't think that's going to be difficult, but like every time they've ever gotten in the playoffs, it's been 1-and-out just about. I don't think they've won a playoff game in quite a while.
No,
I could be wrong, and maybe Scott can correct me on that. But
the Minnesota Miracle.
That was the last one, huh?
Yep. And they can thank our Stephon Diggs for. I mean, I appreciate it.
Right. Here he goes. Scott's still talking. Let's go Vikings. We finally have a coach. And that's a good point, actually. They do have a coach. I think. And then that could be very well part of the inconsistencies, too, is learning the new scheme. So it'll be interesting to see where the Vikings are in the second half of the season. Once hopefully maybe they can kind of start figuring things out. What about some of these other 3-1 teams, like the Cowboys and Giants? Like the AFC or NFC East is Eagles, Cowboys, and Giants have a combined 2 losses. They're 10-2.
I bet you
Which
one
of
of
those
I
three?
bet you
Well,
one of those teams make the playoffs.
'You think just one?
One.
One?
One.
Let's
Over under
see.
would be 1.5.
See.
Would be 1.5.
So if we look at it right now, the Eagles, Cowboys, Giants, they all three would be in, with the Vikings, Bucks, and Niners, and then Packers. So that would be your 7 right now. Currently, I agree. I don't know that you. I think the Giant. Well, man,
Giants aren't making it. I'm sorry. I
I'm
love
not.
Dable. They don't
I'm not
have
too
the
trustworthy
offensive
of the.
talent, and
I'm not.
they just don't have the talent. The
Which
overall
one?
talent. The Giants. I mean, Kenny Galladay. I mean, you're paying him $19 million a year to catch as many passes as I do.
Well,
on
he's
Sunday.
yeah.
I mean, I
But they're
understand. They don't have. And they traded away their best corner. Their only weapon on offense is Saquon Barkley because Wan'Dale Robinson and Kadarius Toney can't stay healthy. Daniel Jones and Tyrod Taylor just both got hurt last game.
You know what this reminds me of though? McDermott's first year, he shipped off some players too, and we had zero talent, and the drought was broken with Tyrod Taylor as our quarterback.
Oh my God, this is scary. I didn't realize this. I didn't even put 2 and 2 together. This is scary. I don't like this. Is Daniel Jones Josh Allen?
No,
like his weird actor cousin.
Well, yeah, I could go for that. Like Daniel Jones has been all right. He hasn't been spectacular. He's not playing any kind of MVP level, but he's playing well enough.
His wheels have been saving him.
Yeah.
And now he's got a flat tire, so he's in trouble.
But I mean, the Giants are doing. I didn't expect them to be 3-1 at this point.
No.
Let's jump over to the AFC, where there's only 3-1 teams. One of which being the Chiefs, of course. I know we talked about this last week. The AFC West has not shaped up to be what we thought it would be. I'm going to throw this up here on the screen really quick, just to give a little love here to Scott. Giants are a couple of years away, so he's kind of in agreement, I think, with us.
Agree, Scott.
Yeah,
I absolutely agree.
But so the AFC, are the Chiefs taking that division? I mean, is it a foregone conclusion, or do you think that the Chargers, Broncos, or Raiders still
can
make some noise?
I still think the Chargers can. It's going to come down to the Chiefs and Chargers. Joe, I'm sorry, buddy, but the Raiders are done. Your defense doesn't have enough. I love Max Crosby, but
he's my favorite Raiders player.
It's just not enough. They don't have the defensive backs or linebackers. The Broncos. What I told you, after week 2, that Russell Wilson's hand has never been the same from that surgery, and I don't think it ever will be.
Yeah, the Broncos have been unspectacular too, for sure.
And now they lost Javonte Williams.
Yeah, and he's dynamic, but they still got Gordon. So I don't.
And they signed Latavius Murray.
Yeah, so I don't know if they'll necessarily skip a beat there. I don't know what's going on with Russell Wilson and the offense. So just, again, could be going back to the same thing that we were talking about a while ago with the Vikings, though. You're bringing in a new coach, a new quarterback. It does take some time generally for these things to mesh. Not always. I mean, I go back and I look at Allen and Diggs. That took 0 time to mesh. I mean, those guys were on all 6 cylinders right off the bat, or 8 cylinders, 20 cylinders, however many that you want to say they have.
Big truck cylinder.
Yeah. What about you got the AFC North and the AFC South. You've got 5 teams between those 2 divisions at 2-2. Browns, Bengals, and Ravens all tied. And if you'd asked me at the beginning of the season, I would have said the Ravens are winning that division, but they need to fix that defense quick.
So who's winning it?
I don't know. What's that?
So who's winning it?
I think
because I know I'm just as thrilled about it as everybody else. Deshaun Watson's coming back sooner than later, and if Brissett's keeping him in contention,
I don't think he's gonna be good.
I don't know what to think. I really don't. It's either gonna be he's gonna be fine or he's gonna be trash, like we saw in the preseason. Granted, it was 7 passes for the first time in 2 years.
Yeah. And that's why I don't think he's going to be very good.
But the last time we saw him in the league, he led the league in passing yards.
The last time we saw him in the league, though, was like 20 years ago.
Yeah, I know. I understand that. I mean, if this team can win with Jacoby Brissett, I mean, Are you telling me that he's not as good as Jacoby Brissett? Because there's no way in
No,
hell.
he's not. Like
Oh.
talent-wise, yes, but I just don't think he's going to be too rusty. Let me throw it back at you and put it this way, though: if the Browns are in contention when it comes time, and he comes out and is terrible, do they go back to Brissett? And like, okay, let's just roll this season with Brissett.
No,
That'll
because the Browns are idiots and paid somebody $230 million to play 4 football games this year.
That's true.
Browns are going to Brown.
I think the Ravens still take that. I do.
I think it's going to be the Bengals.
You think so? I could go with the Bengals too. I just have worries about. I don't think Burrow's going to survive the season.
He's only been sacked twice, or what was it, 3 times in the last 2 games. And I know
like
it was
13 times in the 2 games before that.
I know, but I mean, again, here we go. 4
Takes
brand
time.
new offensive linemen.
Yeah.
You're starting to gel, and especially offensive linemen. I mean, that's where you have to have the most cohesive unit on the field. I mean, you're all moving as one body.
I agree. It's going to come down to the Bengals and Ravens, I think. I don't think the Browns can keep up.
And I'm sorry, but the Steelers don't have a shot in hell.
Well, since you brought that up, I'm going to go ahead and share this little nugget here really quick. Yeah, there it is. Bam. Dawson. We'll get to that game in a minute. All right, taking that back down.
Are we making a bet on that, Dawson? I'll take a bet on that, buddy.
So let's go ahead and jump into the AFC East roundup. So my first question, it's right there on the screen. Are the Patriots going to finish last in this division? I picked them to finish third. I'm starting to think differently, but they did take the Packers to the wire. I mean, I haven't really been that impressed with the Packers either, but what do you think?
That's hard because the Jets have more talent. And I think personally on the team, I think just overall young talent, it's better. They've drafted better the last couple of years. Dang, Belichick is still there though. I mean, I can't put him in the basement yet. I can't.
Yeah,
I have to see it first.
Exactly.
I have to see it, and if we are seeing it, then thank God I've waited 26 years for this. But I can't put him.
I've seen it before. When Buffalo was going to the Super Bowls in the 90s, they were perennial doormats. The Patriots were. Like, they made the Super Bowl in 85, got destroyed by the Bears, and they were not the same after that for many years until they got Bledsoe in the house, and Bill Parcells took over that team. So, and that was at the time when the Colts, Dolphins, Bills, Patriots, and Jets were all in the division together. And none of those teams were that great except for the Dolphins because they had Dan Marino and the Mark brothers. But defensively, and they didn't really have a running game either. So for the most part, Buffalo pretty much had their way even with the Dolphins still. But yeah, and I kind of am starting to see the same thing with the division now in the AFC East. It gets the Bills, then the Dolphins, and then the other 2 teams. Like I'm a little surprised the Patriots are 1-3, but that offense does not look good. And the last article
looks better than Mac Jones. I'm sorry, Tyler, but he has. But he did.
The rookie?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I honestly, I did not see the game. I looked at the numbers afterwards. I wrote an article, basically a weekly progress report on the Bills, which we'll put up live tomorrow on the BillsBeat.com website. But I talked about the Patriots and their offense, and I thought, okay, they put up, I think, 24 points yesterday or Sunday. I'm like, well, that's not terrible. So let me go look at the numbers. The numbers were bad. Like, it was 200-something yards total, interceptions. Like, it just didn't look good. So
one of those touchdowns came on a pick 6, so the defense helped out.
Yeah, so I don't know. Like, the Steelers should have beat the Jets.
Oh yeah,
they were gifted 3 picks from Pickett. Pickett picks. See what I did there? Sorry, Dawson.
Kenny Pickett.
I don't know. Yeah, the AFC East, I think Buffalo's running away with it. And I think in that article, I said they're going to win this division by at least 3 games.
So that
and I
would
say
mean
that
we have to sweep everybody and beat Miami, and include Miami to lose to somebody else. So
Do
who
you?
is so
Well,
which
no,
out of
not necessarily. Not
to
because
win
these
it to win
teams
it
can
by
lose to
3
other
games?
teams.
Yep. Well, if we're going to win the East alone by 3 games, they have to lose by one of those other 2 teams.
Oh, we're going to sweep the Patriots and Jets.
No, I'm saying the Dolphins have to lose to either the Patriots and Jets one time. So
Well,
which one of those two are beating them?
I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if the Patriots beat them. They almost, well, I don't say almost, but they played them the week 1, held them to, what was it, 21-7? So I think by the time they play each other again, the Patriots will have a little bit figured out on the offensive side of the ball. But I mean, you look at the conference. Let's compare to the Dolphins. I know the 3-1 fans, Bills or Dolphins fans. I get it, and you're probably going to attack me on Twitter for it, but
They already
that's
won the
fine.
Super Bowl. Who cares?
Yeah, that's true.
Tua didn't
Cincinnati
have a broken neck, and they won the Super Bowl.
Cincinnati already beat them.
Handily.
Yeah. In fact, I watched that game, and yeah, we all know about the Tua situation, and that looked terrible.
That was scary.
Yeah, and hope the best for the kid. And the only thing I will say though is people need to kind of lay off the Dolphins, honestly, because we don't know what happened in that locker room against the Bills. Tua could have totally lied about his symptoms and everything, and they're like, well, okay, and what else are you going to do? Get back out there, I suppose. I mean, these guys want to play. They're not going to. Well, I don't say all of them. Some of them, I think, understand the severity of concussions
Absolutely.
and are going to be smart about it. But a lot of them aren't. They want to be in the game. They want to be on the field. So again, we don't know. The Dolphins could have been completely unaware, and the only person that might have been aware that he truly was hurting was Tua, and he lied about it. We don't know. And I know there's investigations and everything about it too. I mean, how are they going to prove anything one way or the other? Unless Tua straight up says, yeah, I lied, which you know he's not going to.
I mean, the only thing would be to dispute that would be just what we saw on the field against Buffalo when, like, after the hit with the stumble.
Yeah.
I mean, when he looked like he was taking a sobriety test. Basically.
That's on the head coach.
Exactly. So that's on Mike McDaniel for letting him back in the football game. I don't know if Sean McDermott ever let a player in the game after that. Bills Mafia would erupt. Because they'd be like, what the hell are you doing with somebody like we just saw what happened. What are you doing?
Yeah.
And
that's
think,
where, I agree with you.
Experience in coaching where it was just, all right, I'm going to take the player's word for it. I mean, there's players coaches, and McDaniel has been touted as a player's coach.
Yeah.
Sometimes it comes back to bite you.
Yeah, I would agree with that, and I'm completely with you on that. That's on the head coach. He should have told Tua, I don't care how you feel right now. You didn't look good, so we're not going to take any chances, and sat him. And I honestly don't think it would have made a difference in the game. I really don't, if he had played or not against the Bills, because Buffalo shot themselves repeatedly, and that was not on Tua. That was not on Brissett. Or no, not Brissett. Bridgewater. I got my quarterbacks mixed up. But totally, again, I lost my train of thought because we went on a tangent about the Tua deal. But that's okay. So we're just going to go on and let's talk about this. I know Dawson has patiently been waiting in here. Scott, we're going to have a little battle between these two guys, Dawson and Scott here.
Dawson, hit me up on Twitter, bud. Let's figure out a bet for Sunday. I'll take it.
So I'm going to throw Dawson's original comment back up here. And it's interesting that he says this, though, and here's why. Because if you saw the banner that I threw up initially, trap game, and this is a classic potential for that. And we know what happened last year with the Jaguars.
So I don't really believe in legitimate trap games. I mean, the Bills have a tendency to play down and up to their opponents at times, I feel. Like
Or
exactly what
below.
happened. Or below. But like that's what we saw in the Jacksonville game and the Steelers game last year. They played down to their opponents, I feel. I feel like that they were just either chasing the big play, all right, let's just try to blow them out, have a highlight every play, and that doesn't work in football. I mean, those guys are paid on the other side of the ball too. But I think the mentality of this team is completely different from the last couple of years, and they've learned that they're the hunted. I think last year they were learning how to be the hunted, and now they're like, all right, we got a year under our belt. We can do this. We know we're going to get every team's best shot every week, no matter what happens, no matter who they have out there. And they have Kenny Pickett coming in, who my eyes was a third-round quarterback, who was taken in the first round because this was such a weak quarterback class. I think the Steelers were smart to draft him, and I think they're smart to play him. He's a 24-year-old rookie. That's old for rookies coming into the league. I mean, I think I saw a stat. He's older than than Lamar Jackson or something like that. He's older than somebody, and I couldn't believe it.
I saw that. I don't remember who it was exactly, but yeah, the Buffalo's defense, like you talk to some of the coaches around the league, like Bill Belichick has commented on it about the Bills' defense is one of the toughest to play against because they disguise so well what they're doing. And you throw a rookie in there, his first start with Von Miller and Gregory Rousseau coming off the edges at him.
And Ed Oliver hopefully coming up the middle.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be pretty. I really don't. I'm sorry, Dawson. For all those of you out there who don't know who Dawson is, it's my son-in-law. But and yeah, he's a Steelers fan, but we still accept him in the family, and that's it is what it is.
Just not Thanksgiving.
Yeah. So, I don't think it's gonna be close. I don't. And I kind of hope that we can get up a lead like we did against the Rams and turn it into a preseason game in the fourth quarter, because guys like Gabe Davis, they need some extra time to rest. I almost would rather he not even play this week, honestly.
I think if McKenzie or Crowder, I think if those two injuries didn't happen, he wouldn't be playing.
Yeah, that's the only thing. The only reason why I see that he might play. But we could call it Podgen still. We can call it, or not call it, but you got Shakir.
And still we have Tavon Austin. Don't forget about him on the practice squad. I mean, he could be a sneaky key to this offense that we could pull up, call up, and have him take the top off the defense. Create some space in the middle and underneath for Diggs and Knox.
I think we would be okay if Davis sat. The Steelers don't have Watt. That's huge.
Yeah.
That's probably the biggest thing between him and starting a rookie. I don't see the Steelers keeping up. I think their offense has been underwhelming, regardless of who's been back there, whether it was Pickett or Trubisky. But we'll see come game time. What do you see happening in that game? Like, you have a score prediction, or?
I think Buffalo's going to be out to prove a point. I think we're going to get some guys healthy this week. Let me back up. I think Gabe Davis playing last week was more of a smokescreen. If you notice, he was hardly involved in the offense, and I think it was just to keep him out there as to keep the cornerbacks keeping an eye on one side, not being able to force and completely eye on Diggs entirely. But I think he's going to be okay, and I think we're going to get a lot of guys back this week. Ed Oliver, Gabe Davis. I think Isaiah, I have a feeling, is going to be back. I saw he was on he did his own podcast last night. So I feel like he might be able to get back, even though that was another scary hit.
Yeah, and
Shakir stepped up.
Yeah, because with Shakir, if McKenzie can play, he steps into the slot position. McKenzie, he can play on the outside. He played outside for Boise State. He did some of it in the preseason. So he is an option to play on the outside if need be. I got to throw this one up here. So this is my daughter, Dawson's wife. I guess they already have a bet.
Tell her double it.
Yeah,
Double it,
yeah.
Ashley. I'm
Yeah.
there. If we somehow lose, I'll pay for your side or do whatever you have to do.
There
as
you
well.
go, Ash. You're covered. She also thinks her poor husband is delusional. That's great.
My wife says the same thing. It's okay.
Oh, that's awesome, guys. So I'm going to kind of actually, we got to do this really quick. Our sponsors, got to get them in here, right? NFL Plus. If you do not subscribe to this, you're not an NFL fan. I have it. It's fantastic. You can catch games from the past. You can watch the all 22 footage, which is absolutely amazing. You can catch, in-market games. I mean, if you're a football fan, you've got to have this. And if you don't have it, get it. It's pretty inexpensive. NFL Plus. So you can go over to check out any of our content on billsbeat.com. We got a link there. Hit that link. Get yourself signed up. Casey, so we threw up a post on Twitter on my personal account. But you can see it right there. If NFL fans are being honest, there's really only 3 legitimate MVPs right now. I put that up there because I was seeing some tweets this morning about, who was it?
Jared Goff. Tell me you saw Jared Goff.
I actually did see a Jared Goff. Somebody named Lamar Jackson, which he's a fantastic quarterback, and I think he's come a long way in his passing game. But these 2 losses are partially on him too. I know the defense gave up the points and everything, but he is running that offense, and they stopped scoring.
Yep.
Yeah. So he's part of that equation. So for me, that's why I don't include him in this group. Can you think of anybody else outside of Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts? Those are the 3 guys I put up. I think maybe you can make a case for Saquon Barkley, but running backs don't get this award. That's just historically the way it is now.
Yeah. Last running back to win it was Adrian Peterson, I believe.
And that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
So this poll, I did actually find it to be interesting. Josh Allen kind of running away with it, 48% of the votes. Now, like you and I were talking before the show, majority of my followers are Bills fans. So
I thought we were keeping that a secret.
Well, but here's the thing. It was retweeted by a few people that are not Bills fans. So it got to other people out there. But Hurts came up last with only 19%. Do you think that that's more about name recognition with Allen and Mahomes being the top 2, and people just aren't quite yet ready to jump on the Hurts train just yet? Because the same thing with Allen his first year when he was up for MVP, a lot of people were like, I don't think I'm ready to say that just yet.
I think it's more so it has to do with A.J. Brown coming over. Just like there was the argument the first year after Diggs got here that, Diggs made Allen. Allen wasn't anything until Diggs got here. Allen was pretty dang good for the weapons that he was given in his second year in the NFL. He had John Brown and Cole Beasley. I mean, neither of those guys are walking into the Hall of Fame. Beasley, I mean, we all know what he did. He was great. John Brown had a great couple seasons for us, and he got Josh to where he needed to be. He helped him become the player he is now. I don't know, man. I mean, who was Jalen Hurts throwing to last year? Jalen Reagor and J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, who is now transitioned to a tight end and can't even stay on a practice squad. And Devontae Smith, who he was good, but I don't think he's like a number 1A on a team. I think he and A.J. Brown fit perfectly together, with A.J. Brown being the size speed guy and Devontae Smith being the absolute speed guy, burning everybody down the field. I think mixing that with that defense, I mean, they drafted so well with the players out of Georgia. They added James Bradbury, a couple players at defensive back, at a safety. I think they're looking at the Eagles as a whole. I mean, like that's the entire team is good, and Jalen Hurts is like a product of it, I guess.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, like you said, name recognition has to have something to do with it.
Well, I go back to the year that Allen was the runner-up to Aaron Rodgers, not last year, but the year before, the 2020 season. Rodgers had a great season, don't get me wrong, but if you look at the numbers comparatively, I think Allen had more total yards when you throw in the rushing, and he was pretty close in touchdowns. I do think Aaron Rodgers had more total touchdowns, but Allen could have easily won it that year, and he didn't. And I've often wondered if it was because that was his first year of really coming out and like, hey, I can play this position. I am an MVP caliber player, and I don't think the league as a whole was quite ready for that just yet. And I honestly thought he could have won it last year too. I think the team struggles from the win one, lose one situation. I think that
Absolutely.
probably hurt his chances last year. I want to look at the Eagles since we're talking about them. They got Arizona this weekend, followed
That's a
by
W.
Dallas.
W.
It's a home game in Dallas, and they're at Arizona. Followed by
I'd say that-
Pittsburgh, Houston, Washington, Indianapolis. They could win all of those.
I'd say who are they losing to? The only
That's-
one would be Dallas. And if Cooper Rush plays, I'm probably going to take Dallas because he's undefeated and the best quarterback on walking on earth. But
So if you look at that's 6 games, they legitimately 10-0.
10-0. Yeah, absolutely. And I will never be able to talk to my best friend again because he'll be unbearable.
Yeah, and then they got Green Bay. That could be a potential loss. That's a Sunday night game. Followed by Tennessee, New York, Chicago, Dallas again, New Orleans, New York. The way the schedule is set up for Philadelphia, they could win 15
That's
games.
the joy of not winning your division, right?
Yeah, that is an easy schedule. I know New York's 3-1, but I'm not sold on that 3-1 mark.
They
Yeah.
beat the Bears. Ooh, the Bears. The Bears just cut the player that scored all of their points on Sunday.
Yeah. New Orleans could be a tough game. They got a really good defense. Their offense, maybe it'll be better by then. They seem to be kind of up and down too. Again, new coach situation there. So yeah, I mean, I'll go on a limb and say that's the number 1 seed right there going in the playoffs in the NFC.
Absolutely. Should be.
Yeah.
Be.
Unless Hurts gets injured or something crazy. I mean, who knows? But
my favorite tweet I've seen, I think, this entire NFL season is the world does not have the infrastructure for a Philadelphia Eagles and Buffalo Bills Super Bowl. And I was like, that's so true. Like, that is the most honest thing I've ever seen. The world would burn.
Yeah. That would be, I don't know, that'd be kind of crazy. I'm still hoping for Tampa Bay, personally, because again, we've talked about this. I want to see Tom Brady in there against the Bills one last time, and watch the Bills kick him to the curb and send him into retirement with a Super Bowl loss. I think that'd be great.
This might get too soon, but wouldn't it suck to get kicked out of the league by Buffalo and kicked out of your house by your wife all in the same year?
That is too soon, man.
He beat me for 20 years.
Yeah.
I get one day.
I know. Okay, I got to. So we're on the kind of the tweet talk thing. So our Twitter poll was kind of part of that. I jumped the gun a little bit, but I actually was just refreshed the Twitter poll, and this is kind of interesting. We got like 20 new votes in like the last 5 minutes, so that's cool. Josh Allen now has 50% of the votes.
He does have 100% of the team's touchdowns.
More than half. We've got, so there's one guy who just tweeted, Bills fan here. Unfortunately, as of today, it's probably Philadelphia. Philadelphia. But yes, it's those three and everyone else can't see them. I mean, I agree.
At this point in time, there's nobody else.
Yeah, I commented earlier. I don't remember if it was on Twitter or maybe to myself. Who knows? You look at the league as a whole. You've got Philadelphia, KC, and Buffalo, and then everybody else. Like the whole league really is seen. It's kind of down this year so far. Like nobody's really like, oh my gosh, they look so good. Usually this early in the season, you have at least 5 or 6 teams that are looking really good. You usually have 3 or 4 that are still undefeated. but not right now. It's like there's so much parity that all the teams have become average except for 3.
And that's just on eye test.
Yeah.
I mean, that's on eye test of what we've seen so far. We hope that these are going to be the top 3. We hope Buffalo is going to be the number 1 seed in the East. I've never seen that. The number 1 seed in the AFC. I've never seen that in my life. That'd be awesome.
And for you, all of you out there, I hope you get to see it. As somebody who was able to be around at that time and watch that team, that's basically how Patriots fans felt for 20 years. You just knew your team was a Super Bowl contender every single year. You knew they were going to the playoffs. You knew they were going to dominate the division and likely win the AFC. It was just fun. Like there was no stress. You're like, oh, we lost this game. That's okay. We'll beat the next team by 30. I mean, it was just you didn't worry. And I guess maybe that's like your point earlier. You've never experienced that. All you know is the drought. So for somebody like me, it's like, guys, calm down. This is just week 4. We're fine. This is a great team. But then
we've
other
seen
people,
the Trent Edwards 5-0. We've
yeah,
seen
I
it.
remember that.
I still have Facebook memories pop up, and it was Trent Edwards and Bills like 5-0. Patriots are 3-2. It's over or something like that. And I was like, oh, you big dummy! You have no idea that there was 12 more years of this BS to come, and you have no idea.
I was actually just thinking about that season earlier, a day or two ago, and I don't remember why it came to my mind, but I do recall watching those games, and even though we were 5-0, thinking to myself, this seems like a very weak 5-0. It does not feel good.
Every single time we won a game in that stretch, I was like, oh my God, we won. I was like, this is awesome. I was like, I've never experienced this many wins in a row in my life. I was like,
yeah, but they were close games.
And they didn't deserve to win them, but they won.
Yeah, and they were teams that weren't very good either.
Yeah.
So I just remember thinking, like, this is not going to work. I'm sorry. I know it's 5-0. I should be excited about this, but it's like the Giants being 3-1. I'm just not sold.
And I loved Trent Edwards. Oh, I was the biggest Trent Edwards fan.
I liked him too. I think that hit I think it was Cincinnati game. I think that hit ruined him. I really do. I think we would have been fine with him as our quarterback long term, but I think that ruined him.
We also would have never got our one true love, Fitzmagic.
That's true. That's true. I got another tweet here from this guy's a Chargers fan. Currently, if everyone puts bias aside, Hurts is the front runner currently.
No, he just has the best team. He hasn't played the best. He has
you don't think so?
He has. I don't think he's played. I don't think.
I haven't actually outside of some highlights.
Been the best quarterback. I've watched him, and I don't think he's been the best quarterback. I think he has the best team around him right now. They're very unusually healthy. Like it's wild how few injuries they have. And yeah. I am not wishing ill will on anybody or anything like that. It's wild. I mean, it's kind of like how the Bills have been the last couple of years. We have been extremely healthy the last couple of years, Tre'Davious White was the first one. And basically the Josh Allen era of one of the stars going down for the season, really losing a pillar of the team.
Yeah.
Philadelphia hasn't even lost a real important second string player. I think everything's clicking all at once. They also haven't played the world's top talent. And Jalen Hurts has 4 passing touchdowns and 4 rushing touchdowns, I believe. 4 rushing touchdowns in 4 games. That's Trevor Lawrence-esque in his rookie year. Only threw 10. He has good numbers, but A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, Pat yardage numbers, but there's not much yak behind it. He's making throws down the field, and they're going up and catching 50-50 balls.
And here's their teams that they've beaten. So they beat Detroit 30-35, Minnesota 24-7, Washington 24-8, and then Jacksonville 29-21. And they struggled with Jacksonville early.
They struggled with Jacksonville the whole game. They almost let them back in it.
Yeah, they did. Detroit, that was only a 3-point game. I'm not saying Detroit's a bad team. I think defensively they're terrible, but they can put up points. For sure.
So here's the key to beat Philly: just outscore them. I mean, I know that's simple, but
Isn't that the goal?
yeah, but I mean, you get what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
just outscore them. The Bills defense. If the Bills and Eagles played, I think the Bills it would be like Bills minus 4.5 or something like that.
Yeah.
If both teams are healthy, like I mean, if we give Travis
Right.
White and Ed Oliver and give one of the other three corners on the other side at this point, I don't care who it is. All three are worthy of a start.
Yeah. I'm with you. I think that Arizona game, it is on the road. That's this coming Sunday. Arizona defensively, they're not very good either, but they can put up some points. And
in the second half, they don't put up points in the first half.
When Hopkins is still suspended, right? He's still. I think it was a 6 game, huh?
So and then they have like a bye like week 7, so he won't even be around to like week 8 or something like that.
Yeah. So I'll be kind of keeping an eye on that Arizona game. I think that's going to be some fireworks.
I'm curious. I'd like to. Yeah. I'd love to see the Eagles lose, just out of a personal vendetta.
Well, I do know some Eagles fans, so I don't really have anything against Philadelphia, but I have a thing against teams who have better records than mine. So
truth. Add that into it. Into it.
So yeah, I just since we're on the tweet talk, something just popped up on my deal.
No.
I had asked earlier about predicting a win, of course, and for the score, by the way, I said 37-10. Again, I don't think it's gonna be close. But here's a hot take or a bold prediction, whatever you're going to call it, from somebody on Twitter. Poyer will have another multi-pick day. Book it, he says. I could see it against Pickett.
How awesome would that be? Play 4 games, have 6 picks.
That'd be insane.
Or insane. What is it? Yeah, 6 picks.
Well, we got one more thing here really quick that I kind of wanted to throw up on the screen. We have a few minutes still that we can kind of chat on this. And so I'm just going to throw this up there. I want to kind of get your thoughts, and anybody that's listening, if you want to chime in the comments on what you see up here, feel free to do so. I don't know that I completely agree with this, but I'm not completely against it, honestly. I mean, the Eagles are 4-0, so what do you think?
I think the top 3 as is fine. I get it. If there's an undefeated team, you deserve to be number 1. If you're the only one. After that, who has played the best? You know, look at their schedule. What teams have they played? How'd they do again? You know, just do the analyze. And the Bills lost a squeaker to the Dolphins in a game they clearly shouldn't have lost. The Chiefs fell into a trap game against the Colts. The Packers, I mean, look what they did last year when they opened the season against the Saints. They put up 3 points again. It was like 38-3. So going back to the MVP thing real quick, watch out for Aaron Rodgers. They're starting to catch fire, and he and Romeo Doubs, it's going to be scary. I have a feeling he's going to end up sneaking his way back into that conversation because he's going to get his team back into the playoffs.
Yeah, I think the Packers will be a playoff team. As of right now, I don't think I would put them in the top. Well, not at 4. I think I'd put the Niners in front of the Packers.
I wouldn't even have them in my top 5.
Yeah, I'm trying to think right now.
I'm still putting Dolphins at 5.
I can't. I just can't.
The offensive weapons they're too. It's too overwhelming for me. I understand the 49ers have offensive weapons too, and
well, they got a defense.
Yeah, they do have a defense, but the Dolphins have a defense too. I mean,
the defense that gave up 500 yards to the Bills. I mean, come on.
And 19 points.
They
pulled a Buffalo. They did a bend don't break. You got to give credit where credit's due, man.
Yeah, I suppose. But when the quarterback bounces it off to the ground on what it should have been a touchdown, and I don't know, like the goal line stand, I'll give that to the Dolphins. The one where Allen skipped it off the ground, that's on Buffalo. I mean, I just can't put them in there. And then watching them against Cincinnati, I watched that game for a little while, and then I just got bored. I was like, this is just not fun.
I'd put Cincy at 5. Thank you. I'm sorry. I'd put Cincy at 5. I'd put Cincy at 5, and then we can flip flop between the Niners, the Dolphins, and the Ravens for the next.
Cincinnati. I mean, they're 2-2, but you have a number of 3-1 teams in the NFC that might disagree with you. Like the Vikings, they're 3-1. The Giants.
That defense is suspect. Don't even. The Giants are still like 29th in my personal power rankings.
So these power rankings come from one of our contributors over at Stadium Rant, and he does produce a lot of our featured content that you can see over there at stadiumrant.com. So I just want to talk about this. This is going to be kind of a weekly thing. We're going to throw this up there in the new Stadium Rant Top 5 Power Poll, and we'll get everybody's take on it and hear what people say. We do have a couple of comments here that I do want to get to really quick. Here's a score prediction. I'm assuming you know who this person is.
Oh, yeah, Uncle Joe.
He's got Buffalo winning 32-12. So
he's a Cowboys fan.
Buffalo not giving up any touchdowns in his mind, and I could totally see that.
Oh, yeah.
He also commented on the Power 5 there. He kind of agrees with us. Should not be top 5. And then here's a little bit of a hot take for you. Jaguars, top 5.
Uncle Joe, I love you. Not yet. I don't think yet. I'd still like to see more out of Trevor Lawrence, a little bit more consistency. Kind of struggled last week against the Jaguars. Against the Eagles. But he ran it like 16 or like 11 or 16 times for like 38 yards. That's running for your life. That's not designed runs or anything like that. That's getting out of the pocket and just making something out of nothing.
I know they're just 2-2, but they did take the undefeated Eagles to the wire.
Yep.
They were leading them for a large portion of that game, in fact, playing well. So I could see an argument for the Jags up here.
Absolutely.
It's going to be a fun season down the stretch. I am a little disappointed is not really a word, but I guess surprised. I expected more from the AFC.
Yeah.
To only have 3-1 teams. I don't know if – I guess if you kind of think of it this way, with the AFC, if it's truly stacked, everybody's beating up each other.
See, that's what I was thinking. There's only so many games that teams can win,
Yeah.
There's only so many teams that can win.
Because you look at the NFC, and you've got, what did I say, 5?
Something
5 teams
like
sitting
that,
at 3-1, and then the 4-0.
Yeah.
So it's a top-heavy conference is what that tells me. Like, you've got some good teams at the top and then some really bad teams at the bottom, whereas the AFC – it's kind of throughout the whole conference is pretty good.
But again, do you really think Dallas and the Giants are like good 3-1 teams?
For the NFC? Yeah. No, I agree. I'm not sure what to think of the Cowboys, honestly. I don't think the Giants are a 3-1 team. I really don't know about the Cowboys. I'm still up in the air with them. They've got a good defense. They've got a defense that can make a ton of plays. I do need to see more. And then when Dak gets back, I don't know. We'll see.
Cooper Rush for president.
Well, we have got to get out of here, people. I appreciate everybody who just commented, everyone who's listened. If you're on YouTube, please give us a subscribe and a like. Twitter, find us at Bills Beat SR. Give us a like there or follow. You can find us on Facebook. We're pretty much everywhere. So we appreciate the likes, the follows, the turn on the notifications, all that stuff. And we'll see everybody next week, and go Bills.
Uncle Joe, the man cave's coming. Go Bills.